Florida's fam. Like just awesome, cool, non-crazy people. Somebody calling from 504. Who is this calling from Louisiana?
Hey, DW, this is Mr. E from California, a longtime subscriber. I called into your call-in show a couple of months ago. How have you been, brother?
I have been fantastic. I have nothing to complain about at all. Life is
That's
treating me
good.
well. How is life treating you? It says your number is a New Orleans number. I thought you was calling me from
Yes.
NOLA.
Well, I lived there for over 10 years, but I moved out here to California when I got a job here. But I'm hoping to move back to a nice, good red state as soon as I possibly can. I'm really shooting for Florida. I'm hoping that there's some openings pop up down there, Florida, if not Louisiana itself.
Don't come to
Um,
Louisiana.
and
Don't come here.
oh,
Go to Florida.
okay, okay,
go
fair enough.
go
Well,
to Florida,
I
bro.
appreciate the advice. Thank you.
Yeah. Do
Uh,
not come
but
here.
well, okay, fair enough. Um, but what I'm calling to tell you, DW, is this. I don't know. I think I told you the last time I called. You mentioned how I mentioned how I used to give tours in the French Quarter in New Orleans, right? That's kind
Yeah,
of
I
my thing.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got a job doing that same thing here in downtown Sacramento. It's really, really cool. They have it's like all kind of got that old Western sort of feel to it. And part of the what really gave me the heebie-jeebies is I was given a tour the other night, and one of the things I talk about on my tour is the tunnels of old Sacramento. It's almost like a shadow undercity beneath some of the older parts of the city. It's like miles and miles of tunnels, and these were created when the city was raised up off the ground 10 to 15 feet after a big flood in 1861, I believe it was, that killed upwards of 4,000 people. Now, like a lot of tunnels, as you can imagine, this was an absolute magnet for people who wanted to do bad stuff and not get caught. I mean, there have been like the mafia's like dumps bodies down there, all sorts of bad stuff. But probably the creepiest thing is the story of the Ratman. The Ratman supposedly is this weird sort of amalgamation. Either it's like a giant rat that walks on its hind legs, or it's this weird amalgamation of like hundreds or dozens of big rats squashed together, and they're like all hairless, so they're red, and wet and writhing, and they got like tails flapping all over the place. It's really horrific. Now, when I was told this, and I have to talk about it as part of my tour, I was like, okay, that seems a bit far-fetched. I mean, I like to think of myself as a pretty open-minded guy, but come on. But then, last night, I heard a story from a guy on my tour who claimed that he knew somebody who had actually seen it. That this person had gone down into the tunnels by himself, which is a big red flag. Don't go full retard. Don't do that. And he apparently saw the Rat Man. And the guy claimed that when the dude went to his priest, the priest told him that the Rat Man was demonic in nature. That there had apparently been a satanic cult. There had been a satanic cult that used to do stuff down there a couple of decades ago, and perhaps they opened up some kind of door or something that never quite closed. That's what the priest claimed. And the guy was very insistent that his story was true. And frankly, after living in New Orleans for so long, I'm not as inclined to dismiss what he's telling me as quickly as I might have done before. The other thing I want to tell you, and this is kind of related to that, DW, do you know where Glenmora, Louisiana is?
Glenmore?
Glenmora. It's up in Rapides Parish, about half an hour away from Alexandria. It's a
No,
really
I'm
small
not.
town. I don't.
I know where Alexandria is. I'm not familiar with Glenmora, but what's going on up there?
Well, there's a story in Glenmora about how back in the 50s there used to be a satanic cult who gathered in the woods near the Kissimmee National Forest. Apparently, they were doing stuff like leaving animal heads on graves. They were said to have splashed blood on the doors of one of the churches in the area. Apparently, the activity there got so bad that a bunch of the people in the community formed a literal angry mob and just like ran the cultists out of town. They found out where they were meeting and they just cleaned it out. They didn't kill anybody or anything, but they, basically told these people, we know who you are now. We know what you're doing. Get past that parish line and never return. And apparently people still claim that sometimes they see like phantom lights or they hear like, whispers in the woods at night. I talked to a couple of people in the area because my grandparents live there. My grandma lives out there. I have deep roots in that area on my mother's side. I've talked to people who claim to have heard or seen phenomena in the woods, that they really can't explain. Nobody likes to talk about the whole satanic cult thing. There are not a lot of people alive who remember it now, but the ones who do, they don't like to talk about it. It's like this taboo episode in the area's history that everybody has kind of, it seems like they've almost gone out of their way to wipe it out of the history books.
Yeah, that
And I got
sounds
to tell
about
you,
right.
like,
Par for the course, though, bro.
yeah,
Nobody wants to. They don't want. Nobody wants their town associated with a whole bunch of occult activity. You know what I'm saying?
exactly, yeah, yeah. And I'll never see the appeal of that DW. Like, to go out into the woods and do stuff like that, to traffic with that stuff, like, these people, how do they know what they're getting themselves into? Do they
Yeah.
know what they're dabbling with? There's stuff out there that you just shouldn't touch, stuff that's not meant for us. And even if that's all these rituals and crap that they do out in God knows where, even if that stuff gets them what they want, at what price? Because nothing that you get that way comes without a price, and it's a terrible price. I'll never see the appeal of that or why people choose to do that, because there's a much better alternative available to anyone who wants it.
Yeah, but I've talked to a significant number of occultists, and what you'll find is a lot of those people are very damaged people, damaged through childhood, damaged with issues. There's some people who are just born into it, and that's all they've ever known. But they're damaged people,
Ah,
and they end up in a bad spot, man. They really do end up in a bad
mm,
spot. I'm not gonna say they don't know what they're doing because they know exactly what they're doing, and it's like anything else. You start off doing it, and it's kind of like, oh, this is cool. I feel accepted, and then next thing you know, you're down that rabbit hole, and you're all the way in there, and there's no way out. And that's just how it works.
yeah,
And I've gotten to the
it's
point where I
sad.
reserve myself that there's two opposing forces in this world, and there's some forces of darkness, and there's forces of good. And when people tell me
Hmm.
this is what I do, I'm like, okay, that's what you do. Fine, go ahead and do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, peace out.
Yeah, yeah. See where it gets you, though. I
Yeah,
mean, I know where I'm going. I'm not afraid. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
I'm
I
with
just
you.
wanted to call and tell you those two stories because it felt like something that would be good to share on your call-in show. I saw the video go live, and I was like, oh man, this is exactly the right place to share it. So still pay subscriber to your website. Still love your work. Looking forward to some more new content. And God bless you, bro.
Hey, man, I
I
just posted
adore
an
your work.
interview.
And
Check out that interview I posted with Matt Barr, man, today on the website.
Matt
Matt,
Barr.
that was it's on the front page. I mean, that was a dope interview. So Matt was a guy that was on Terror in the Woods, just
Uh huh.
recently, and he
Oh yeah,
told
I
his
know that show.
story.
I love that show.
I
Oh,
mean,
sorry. Go
bro,
ahead.
that was a dope encounter. That was probably one of the scariest Bigfoot encounters I've ever heard, and it just so happens for this one, I use Streamlab or Streamyard, so you can actually see him talking and watch the look on
Hmm.
his face as he's reliving it, and listen to his voice. You'll hear him reliving the story, and you can see in his eyes that he's reliving what he's telling you. And it's really
Hmm.
an amazing interview, man. It really is an amazing
Ooh.
interview.
All right. I'm gonna have to go and watch that later tonight. Thanks, DW.
All right, brother,
Take care of yourself.
I will.
Bye.
Man, you talking about old Sacramento? Just recently, if I'm not mistaken, um, Mateo De Niro was just found there working in a pizza shop. All I'm gonna say is, us folks down here in Louisiana know a little bit about Mateo. Uh, for those who know, they know. For those who don't know, don't know. All I'm gonna say is that's gangster how he did that. That's pure gangster how he pulled that off. That was just crazy. Um, what I was talking about was, first of all, thanks for everybody who's in the stream. It's 89 of y'all. Hit the like button. I don't like my moderators that have to beg you to hit the like button. If you see value, I think you should hit it. If you don't see value, then I don't understand why you're here. It's kind of like the polite thing to do. Oh, I came into your stream. Let me hit the like button, and let you know that I appreciate what you do and blah, blah, blah. Now, granted, there are a solid 28 to 30 people who are haters that show up early for every stream that never hit the like button. So, guys, notice there's going to be a discrepancy, but it should be at least 50 something likes. I got a solid 30 haters. They show up to listen because they think somebody got something to say about them. Bada bing, bada boom, when nobody really gives a damn about them. But without with that being said, I want to circle back. So I'm having this very interesting conversation with a gentleman today, and we're just talking about the field of cryptids and Bigfoot and Dogman and all the crazy drama that happens in the field. And I was telling him, I was like, man, for the most part, it's died out and it died down. And we're in this new era where people are trying to work together. You saw it with Josh Turner's Dogman convention. You see it all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Where people are trying to work together, trying to get to the truth, trying to get to the bottom of things. And I think that's a fantastic place for the cryptid community, specifically chunking down the Dogman community to be. Because it was in a very like crazy state at some point in time where it was just constant, just BS left and right all over the place. And it's just a good thing that we gotten to this point. And I'm going to do everything I can do to help maintain that position that it's in. And I think for in order for that to happen, there has to be like an open spirit of cooperation where people promote each other and help people grow. And that's where a lot of that drama stemmed from. It stemmed from this idea that I have to be the sole focus of the Dogman community, and there was a lot of people who had that mentality. I'm not taking a shot at anybody in particular, but it's just everyone shares audiences as it pertains to this subject. So it's not like any one person is the man or not the man. You know what I'm saying? It's everyone shares audiences. So it's just a good space that we're in right now. It's a phenomenal space that we find ourselves in, where it's died off and it's quiet and people are actually going about their business. For me, this was the only field I've ever participated in where it was so much mayhem and retardation just left and right. I mean, at every angle. And I've dealt with a lot of stuff, and it's just like, man, I've never seen anything like this. And that's why I've said over time, I believe there's a spiritual component to it as well. Greg, what's up, Connor? What's happening with your homeboy? I'm sorry. And I see my man Godson in here. What's happening with your player? So it's a great thing. It's a phenomenal thing. Since when did all the names have different colors in the chat? Haven't seen that. I wonder what that means. Let me see something. Because it used to just be a freaking name. They let y'all pick your color for your name for the stream, or I mean, I've never seen that before. I guess that's how long it's been since I actually really paid attention to the live streams and did it on this level. Um, let's see who else want to call. 504-354-0143. 504-354-0143. Give me a holla. If you got a dog man story, a scary story, a spooky story, something that you want to talk about, go on ahead and talk what you know. Talk what you know. There used to be this this talk show down here that was phenomenal. It was a what the hell is that noise? Oh, that's my neighbors. There was a it's called Talk What You Know. It was on WBOK 12:30 a.m. when I was doing talk radio and had my syndicated show on finance, right? And it was an amazing talk show because it was these two pastors that would come on there, but they would take any question about anything. And guys, let me tell you. So one day this lady calls in who was a hoodoo practitioner to the show, and she starts off by saying, "My mountain is hoodoo." And for those of you who don't know what that means, the mountains are where people worship. So when she said my mountain is hoodoo, she meant I worship via hoodoo. And man, these guys and her go back and forth for like 30 minutes. Nothing aggressive, nothing crazy, nothing bad.